Hello and welcome to NewsClick. Today we have with us Shalmali Guttal from Focus on Global South, who stays in Bangkok and has been following the Thai affairs quite closely. Shal, good to have you with us.
Nice to be here, Prabir. Thank you.
Thailand has been on the boil for quite some time, and particularly this 9 weeks recent movement of the what I call the red shirts, which took over large part of Bangkok, the military crackdown later, which seemed to have killed a lot of people. So what really happened in those 9 weeks and what's happening now?
Well, the 9 weeks was a 9 weeks where there were thousands and thousands of people who came from different parts of Thailand, particularly the northeast and the north, but also from the center and from the southern parts, who came into Bangkok and set up camp in protest against what they called was an undemocratic form of governance. And they sat there, they occupied two and some of the most prominent places in Bangkok. They occupied the commercial center of Bangkok for 9 weeks. Before that, they occupied another political important center, which was near the Democracy Monument. But then after there was a bloody crackdown on April 10th as well. There was a clash between protesters and military. And after that, the red shirts moved from there and established their base in an area called Rat Prasong, which is in the heart, literally, this is the commercial elite heart of Bangkok, where all the large malls and luxury hotels are.
What happened during the crackdown? Because we saw bloody pictures of what had happened during the crackdown, destruction of the camps. What really happened on those days?
Well, what happened during the crackdown was that the military moved in to a very large area called the Red Shirts camps. They moved in with weapons of war, and it was an army, it was a military offensive to disperse protesters who were for the most part unarmed. And what happened after that was that within a matter of hours, an entire community of protest and demonstration that had been there for 9 weeks was completely destroyed. Quite a few people were killed and injured, and a number of people, thousands actually, went and took refuge in a wat nearby. And I have some photographs, so why don't I show you some of the photographs we have of the destruction of that area just a couple of days after the military crackdown. So I'll show you some photographs that were taken by my colleague Randall Ernst. These photographs that we'll see now were taken 1.5 days after the military crackdown, and the area looks entirely different from what it looked like before the crackdown, and we'll show you those photographs as well. So this is an area which leads on the left side, on this side over there, is a very large shopping area called Siam Paragon. In fact, this entire lane is shopping, luxury shopping mall area. There's a walkway, so shoppers don't even need to come down on the ground. These are tents where protesters stayed. For 9 weeks, they stayed in very, very hot, difficult conditions. This is what the news media will not show you. What the news media will show people are the big burnt buildings, the luxury buildings that were burned, the huge loss that was for the Thai economy, how inconvenient it was for Bangkok shoppers. What they don't show you are really what looked like shattered remnants of an entire community that was demonstrating and asking for its rights for political inclusion. This is a wat in the heart of that area, which was supposed to be safe passage. This had been agreed on by the government as a sanctuary, as a safe sanctuary. 3,000 people took refuge here during the crackdown. Despite that, 6 bodies were found, shot. And this was not helter-skelter shooting. They were shot from a higher elevation. They were intended to be shot. First, one demonstrator was shot when Red Cross personnel and health, those what are they called, rescue personnel, volunteers with the armbands, which showed the Red Cross, went out to get them. They were shot. So this is in the heart. So even the sanctuary that was supposed to be a safe space wasn't really quite that safe anymore. This is some military and police inside the wat trying to, ostensibly supervising cleanup. These are the monks cleaning up inside the wat, cleaning up the remnants of the protests and demonstrations. This was one of the kids who was picking up the final bits, and you can see even his dog has a red collar. His little puppy has a red collar and a red leash. And this is, I think, an important thing. These camps were filled with families. There were old people, young people, children, people had brought their dogs and cats. They just came here and they camped and they stayed here. This is a classic picture which hopefully I think would convey to the viewers what a mad dash it must have been to head into the sanctuary. You can see little pillows here. People left behind their pillows, people left, you know, their bags, their personal use items, their fans, is evidence of people having been moved out in a tremendous hurry. This is the Rajprasong intersection that's been written about in the newspapers. There was the demonstrators, the UDD had its big stage here for political rallies. This road is flanked by luxury shopping malls and luxury hotels. And I think this is one of the things that completely enraged the middle and upper middle class Bangkokians, that their place for luxury shopping and luxury stay was taken over by the poor from the countryside. And in the evenings and towards the, in fact, mornings and evenings, the urban poor and the working class from Bangkok and from around Bangkok came here to listen to political rallies, to talk to each other, to meet their leaders and their friends and relatives from outside in other provinces. So it was a very, very different type of gathering that the middle class Bangkokians and the upper classes in Bangkok are actually used to. Let me show you what it was like before. The same empty crossing, Rajprasong intersection that I showed you, this is it in the height of the rally. Here's the stage. Here's the stage, as I pointed out to you. This is exactly that same place, that same intersection, but while the demonstration was in full force. This place in the evening would swell. I don't know, there could have been 10,000, there could have been 15,000 people. People would come to listen to the rallies. They would have the songs, they would have dances, they would have speeches, and people would listen. They would sit here for hours, every day. This is, I showed you this, we showed you this photograph earlier with the remnants of the camp, of the tents. This is what it looked like. This is early evening. People were selling all kinds of memorabilia. There was food. There were communal kitchens where people cooked and fed each other. There were also small itinerant traders. They even had massage. The massage women set up foot massage and other sort of stalls in here so that they could give their comrades foot massage. This is classically Thai, actually, that people will actually gather together and provide services for each other even in such a time. This is one of the malls that was burned down. This is a very, very, very high-end mall. It's called the Central World. You can see that this entire plaza is taken over by demonstrators and poor people from the provinces. This is another part of that same street that I showed you earlier, which is lined with expensive malls and luxury hotels. This is extremely telling, because what you see at the back, the Louis Vuitton big poster, that mall is an extremely high-end luxury mall. And around that mall are basically people who've never, who are struggling to find a market for their agricultural produce, and asking for minimum wage. And these were the people who were gathered and asking for justice. Now this is more controversial. This is the barricades. This is one of the barricades that the UDD armed groups set up. They had their own guards to protect the movement. So they set up these sort of very makeshift barricades. These are sharpened bamboo, and then they put tires and they soak them in gasoline in case the military attacks. The idea was that they will set those on fire, and that is actually what they did. And this is at a very, very important intersection. The road behind that is called Silom Road. It's another very upper middle class shopping area. And this area is called the Silom Lumpini intersection. And this was the barricade that the military mowed down first. When they brought in armed personnel carriers, they mowed this bit out. They had to break down this barricade to be able to get to the intersection site. This is from the other side, what it looked like. So you can see the tires. This is a very, very busy road. And this whole area, this is a very elite area. It's not a working class area. It's where the wealthy people go to cafes, bookshops, and so on and so forth.